Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am Mickeynerd17, as I like to go by online, and today we are starting the inaugural episode of Rebuilding the Past, where I'm going to be taking personal projects of my ride recreations in Minecraft, and I'll be rebuilding them to be more accurate to their original selves. So, starting off, a little bit about me. I'm Mickeynerd17. I have been building custom attractions and real-life recreations of rides and theme parks since 2015. I am a self-taught builder. Everything here was built by hand. In case you don't know the structure behind me, that is Spaceship Earth, because I am on the Epcot Center project, which is a self-made recreation of Epcot Center as it looked in 1989, all hand-built, and today's video is going to be the start of a recreation of one of the attractions in here. So, I will take you over there right now. So as you can see, this is Spaceship Earth in front of us. We will not be working on that because that just recently got a complete new update, which you can check out at mcpdl.com, where you can download this map for yourself and explore it. And that link will be in the description below. Here we're flying over Communicore, and the land is over there. And we have reached the pavilion we're working on these next few episodes for season 1. There's going to be multiple seasons of this. So, in case you all don't know, this is Journey into Imagination. This was one of the opening day pavilions at Epcot Center when it opened October 1st, 1982. And as you can probably tell by the name, it's all about the imagination. Now, the ride inside of it actually opened a little later on March 5th, 1983, due to technological issues that they were having when testing the ride at the time. And you'll have a better understanding why in a little bit. So, the goal of this first season is we're going to take this entire pavilion, which I have not touched in over a year, and we're going to completely rebuild the attraction. Just clear out all the insides and rebuild it from scratch. We're going to keep the exterior, but we will change the exterior a little bit. But we're going to clear the insides out and then rebuild it from scratch, following more blueprints and a lot of pictures, YouTube videos to get a clear visual idea of how this ride looked, because this version of the ride closed all the way back in 1998. So I've never personally ridden this. I've ridden a successor attraction, Journey into Imagination with Figment, which is still operating today, but I have not actually ridden this particular ride, which will make this a little more challenging because I will be going completely off of old 1990s video, which the video quality will be not as good as today, and also just pictures. So, I will be explaining a little bit more of the actual ride so that we have a more clear idea of what we're doing. So, what we have here is the entire ride layout. So, starting with the unload all the way through the ride. As you can tell, this is a pretty long ride because the ride system that was used for this ride was a elaborate omni mover, if you don't know what Omnimover is, it's a word coined by Disney. Well, it was originally used by Disney to explain rides that have a constant stream of vehicles moving at a constant speed throughout a track. So examples of this would be, if you are familiar with the Disney parks, Haunted Mansion uses this ride system. Spaceship Earth, also at Epcot, uses this ride system. Um, a lot of other rides. Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid, for those of you familiar with that, at both at Magic Kingdom and California Adventure. All sorts of rides have used this. And Journey into Imagination used a more elaborate version because it actually used a roller coaster track, and the vehicles would actually split off. So, starting here, we've got the load area. Load area was pretty elaborate. As you can tell, it's a curved load, which wasn't too uncommon back then, but it actually didn't have a moving platform, so that was a bit unique. And then moving on, there was the pre-show, which had a silhouette of Dreamfinder's ship, which is this right here. And this is actually part of the Flight to the Imagination scene, which essentially the entire ride was built around this court. Think of like a giant carousel constantly moving with 5 identical scenes. This scene, 5 of those, all around, and vehicles would break off and would rotate around clockwise as each scene played individually, and these were soundproof barriers. And then from there, we go into the Dreamport, which if I can find a good photo of, which I am not finding a good photo of. So this leads into the Dreamport, which had all sorts. It was essentially where the main characters of this ride were Dreamfinder and Figment. So in case you're confused as to who's who, this is Dreamfinder, this is Figment. And they were our guides on our journey into imagination. And actually, Figment was a literal figment of Dreamfinder's imagination. And in this scene, Dreamfinder actually talks about how essentially conjures up Figment using the bits of imagination that he's collected through this tube and kept in this storage unit here. And Figment pops out of there, and then you're sent into the Dreamport, which has a copy of this here. And then after the Dreamport, you go into the different realms of imagination, starting with art over here. So lots of white structures, lots of rainbows, and light and airy. Now, since this was the most, I guess you could say, Fantasyland style ride at Epcot, which was very much an educational park, having a fantasy ride back in the day essentially meant that you were going to have a dark scene, and Journey into Imagination was no exception. The literature scene here was full of dark paint. The music, One Little Spark, which was the main soundtrack through the entire ride, had much more dark, ominous tones to it. The scene literally opened out with Dreamfinder on an organ shaped like the letter A, and playing this music, and the tones are just dark and rich and just punching it in your ears. And there's all sorts of, like, there's a castle, there's a genie, there's the crow from from uh, from poetry, lots of poetry and literature, books everywhere, ending with Monster Book, which had Figment um, being attacked by monsters, pretty much, which was a pretty frightening way to end the scene. And then it gets more light, airy, and happy in the performing arts section, which has the famous Figment dressed up as Dreamfinder amongst chests of costumes, which we'll be seeing photos of that once we get to that in this build. And then the laser ballet with Dreamfinder, which was a pretty unique scene at the time because laser technology was still very new. I mean, personal computers were like brand new when this ride opened. So having this laser technology was cutting edge at the time. And then this next room is science. Now, in the modern day ride, this is the finale, but back in the old days, this was just another scene because the ride is longer. So we've got science and technology here, and each one of these flat areas were screens playing like a flower opening up slowly, or like water droplets, galaxies, and stuff like that. Really cool stuff. And then we get to image technology because Journey into Imagination was sponsored by Kodak, who produced film cameras, if in case you didn't know. And so it made sense that there was going to be some sort of image technology in this ride, and it came at the very end, the finale, which was right here, which had Figment, unsurprisingly, on a big film reel, which rotated, and then there were different screens here playing different kinds of Figment, as you can see, dancer, strongman, westerner, pirate, etc., which was the big finale for this long ride, and by long, I mean, I think this was like 16 minutes, which is pretty long for attraction. Usually, like, a ride in Fantasyland would be like 3 minutes max. And every ride, just in Epcot Center in general, was usually 16 minutes, with the exception of Energy, which was bordering on 40 minutes, which is insane. But anyway, getting ahead of myself. This last scene here had Dreamfinder sitting on a dressed up as a director with a old-timey film camera, beckoning guests to go to the Imageworks, which is upstairs. And then we have the unload. This was an unload belt, which originally was moving when the pavilion first opened, but over time, because the ride wouldn't sync properly, part of the main technical issues that I mentioned earlier that prevented it from opening with the rest of the park, mainly because this Flight to the Imagination scene would get out of sync and caused insane technical problems for the operators. They just deactivated this belt, and then towards the end of the ride's lifespan, they just flat out removed it, and it was just a solid ground, just like the load. And then the exit corridor is really simple, just took you back to the colorful atrium here, which had the spiral staircase going up to the Imageworks. Now, the Imageworks was upstairs, and this is actually a later version of it, because the original version had Dreamfinder School of Drama all the way around here. But anyway, the 1990s final layout of the Imageworks is here, and it was essentially a big playground, indoor playground. I mean, you've got the famous Rainbow Corridor here, making faces, Stepping Tones was over here, which was essentially glow spaces on the floor that if you stepped on, they'd glow up and they'd make a tone. Stepping Tones. And then the Magic Palette, which was a early form of computer drawing, because as I mentioned before, most people didn't have a personal computer in their house. So drawing on a computer was not commonplace at the time. And then the Electronic Philharmonic, which, for those of you who've ridden the current Journey to Imagination, is in the current Imageworks, just slightly different, but it's essentially the same technology where you stick your hands in and you conduct, and the movement of your wrist is picked up by a sensor, and it's translated into musical sounds that get played out speakers. It's pretty cool. Okay, so in case you haven't figured it out yet, this pavilion is pretty complicated, and we haven't even gone to the Magic Eye Theater, which is the theater attached next door over here. That is the Magic Eye Theater, which originally played the film Magic Journeys, which is what this map has, and then later played the popular Captain EO, which starred Michael Jackson. So, now that we have taken care of that, and we've got a decent idea of what we're working on, the main agenda for this episode is we're going to get inside the building, clear out all the structures, clear out everything inside. Ride, Imageworks, theater, just clear it all out. And then from there, we're going to get some colored wool and we're going to start outlining, at the very least, the ride, in case we don't get to the theater over there. But I definitely want to at least get the ride in this episode. So, without further ado, since you all came here looking for a let's build, essentially, let's get started. So, how do I clear a ride? First of all, TNT. Yes, I do use TNT, and I used TNT when clearing my old spaceship Earth 3 months ago to essentially rebuild it from scratch. Though this isn't going to be as drastic because I'm not clearing the exterior building as well. So, oh, I almost forgot. My favorite way to start all of these, anytime I change any pavilion, is construction walls. Why? Well, essentially, because in real life, Disney isn't going to work on a pavilion, or just any ride in general, and not have construction walls. Because, I mean, you don't want guests going into a construction zone. That just doesn't make any sense. So, we're just going to have some nice construction walls here. There we go. Journey to Imagination. The pavilion is now officially closed. And then we're going to go into the ride itself. So, for those of you who haven't checked out the map yet, this is what Journey to Imagination has looked like on the inside ever since I first built it for version 4 of the Epcot Center map. For context, this update is going to be part of version 14. That's 10 versions spread between 2019 and now. So I haven't touched this pavilion pretty much at all since 2019, 2 years ago. So this pavilion has been needing some help. Here's all the barrier blocks. We'll be clearing those out first before we clear out any of the actual ride. And that's essentially where we're going to start. So let's just get going right now. one of the big issues about this entryway, this atrium that is going to get corrected is notice how it's not an even curve. And honestly, a lot of it is just square. That is completely not accurate. Also, no mural on the ceiling and no mural on the walls as it originally looked. So, we will be fixing that in the next few episodes. Oops, broke some wall there, but that's fine. Like, I'm really going to be replacing it at this point. Okay, we will save Imageworks for a little later because I'm mainly going to clear out the entire ride first. And it's going to be pretty drastic once everything's gone. And you might wonder how everything managed to fit in what's going to seem like a small space. But I can assure you, it all fits in here. Alrighty, so we have cleared out the barrier blocks, and now we get to start actually blowing stuff up. So, this is every time I light the first TNT block, I always feel a little nervous because it's sort of a feeling of what the heck am I doing? Because it's really something when you've spent months trying to build something and then later you just clear it all out. All that work just disappears to build something new. It makes you feel a little nervous at first, but honestly, if Spaceship Earth taught me anything, it's just totally worth all the trouble. It's worth all the trouble. So, I guess we'll just have to light the first one. Question is, where? Damn, I honestly don't know where to light this thing up. Question is, how much? Okay, so this is the second floor. Got a little space down there, and then a little space here. I don't want to actually blow up any of the exterior, so I'm going to have to be extremely careful. Okay, so the pyramid's up there? Yeah, we've got the second pyramid above us. And in case you don't know, here's the inside, not in the ride. I guess you could say, quote unquote, backstage areas. There's unload and everything. Pretty inaccurate setup. Alrighty. I'm just going to have to say screw it and start with the main area here. Oh gosh. I can't believe I'm actually doing this. Okay. Just start going along the track and just nuking it all. This was my Flight to the Imagination scene, which compared to this, there's some resemblance if you look at it. There's some resemblance there, but it's a bit of a shame I can't do all these little details in Minecraft, but I mean, you gotta work with what you gotta work. And honestly, back in 2019, when I wasn't nearly as good of a builder as I am now, this was like spectacular for me. So, I have no shame with this build whatsoever. I am proud of what I did, but it's time to update and get better. So that's what we're doing. That's my Dreamport scene, and there goes the animatronic. Here's another sign. Trying to make a rainbow with wool. No, don't. That's all I'll just say. Just don't. Don't do it. Because it looks, or at least in my opinion, it probably changes with different people's opinions. There is a time and place for wool, but if you've got concrete, usually concrete is the better way to go. It just looks cleaner and doesn't look as elementary, I guess you could say. So, don't go with wool. Usually wool is for outlines, which is another reason why not to build with wool. It looks like things are outlined. Oh, oh my gosh, I forgot about this thing. Okay, for those of you who are just joining us, you're probably not going to understand why this is here, but for those of you who have experienced the first 3 versions of the Epcot Center map, version 1, 2, and 3, respectively. If you went behind the old Nether Pavilion, you would find this structure. I was trying to make a little aquarium scene, not quite sure why. I think I just found it on a YouTube video. It never fully worked, but I never fully got rid of it, and when I built Journey to Imagination, I literally just built the ride around it, and it's stayed here ever since. I'm probably going to have to clear it because from what it looks like, it's going to be probably in the art scene, but it's pretty incredible how this has lasted. And it's one of those little things, if you look around the map close enough, and if you dig a little deeper, you'll find these little things that have been around for a long time that are pretty cool and unique. So, yeah, essentially. I'm going to leave it in place for now, though. Now, before it gets demolished, these clouds are probably one of the big, big takeaways I got from this attraction because these made excellent small distance storm clouds, and with the blue stained glass, it looked like it was raining off in the distance. And I didn't realize it when I first built it, but once I finished the attraction and I looked back, I was like, holy cow, this looks really good. And so I actually put the stained glass in at the last minute. But for another example of where I've used these clouds, if you go onto my Horizons, and actually I have a Horizons tribute video on this YouTube channel you can check out, and you can see it in that video. In the desert farm scene, you'll notice these clouds in the background, and it really complemented that scene very well. And I was just really happy with how that turned out. wow, all that work, and we still got science and most of performing arts left. Holy cow. Maybe now you guys are just starting to understand why it takes a little while to build these attractions, because there's just so much to them, so many details to cover, and it it takes a lot of time, but the end result is really cool. And hopefully, watching me go through the process of actually building these rides will be more enlightening for you guys, my viewers, and hopefully you'll have even more appreciation for the work that gets put into this. Because one thing about being a map builder is that the amount of time that gets put into actually building an attraction, or just anything in general that's large, I feel like doesn't get the proper respect it deserves, because it's just hard for people to fully contemplate how much time it takes to build one of these. And I mean, there's people who build entire custom cities, and I I just cannot relate to that. I can relate only a little bit because of this map, but this map is like nothing compared to like an entire city. So I just can't relate to that as well. So hope that's one reason why I wanted to start doing these videos, was sort of in the spirit of Epcot, which was an educational park. I sort of want to educate and inform, and inspire. That's essentially it. The Epcot motto: entertain, inform, and inspire. To to share some Disney history and recreate past memories for those of you who appreciate Disney history, and also to show how I build rides, and hopefully educate future builders or current builders on how to build, even if it's not a ride, something that's highly detailed and highly complicated. Because these rides are not simple. They are not simple at all. Okay, I'm going to use a little more TNT. This is going to have to get cleared out some more. Probably do some select charges here and there, just to try and clear things out a little more, because there's still quite a bit left over from these scenes. But I'm just going to say, it is strange to see this building cleared out. I haven't seen the inside of this building this open since when I first built it in 2019. It is surreal. Now, these are old structures from when I was first building performing arts scene, but I actually went a different route and used mostly brick instead. But I left these structures in there because, to be perfectly honest, I was too lazy to remove them. I was way too lazy to remove them. So, they're just left there. Simple as that. And I mean, one thing about these rides is that all the details have got to be put where the guest sees them. So anything that isn't going to be viewed by the guest is just free game. Free game for whatever you want to do. And to be honest, I don't really leave much. I'll sometimes leave some Easter eggs, but aside from that, really nothing else. In Horizons, actually, I have a ton of just random signs with text on them, just random stuff. which if you actually go inside there, you can do a little scavenger hunt and look for some of those. But, oh, these were command blocks for particle effects that and there they are! Oh my gosh! There's the particle commands right there. I never got them to work. Actually, I'm going to get a little sidetracked. I'm actually going to see if these would actually work. Actually, no. Lever. Oh, apologies. Button. That's what I'm looking for. Did these actually work? And oh, that one didn't even have anything in it. That one had something in it. And nothing, as I figured. Well, I might actually leave those there as a little Easter egg to this old version, but probably won't. But I'm too lazy to clear them out at this second in time. So I'm just going to leave them the way they are. Okay, so there it is. An empty building, pretty much, aside from a couple blocks. It's been a good while, but we pretty much got cleared. This is amazing. Wow. Just wow. That is just wild to see this entire ride go from being show ready, which is terminology saying that the ride is ready for guests to experience, to just being completely gone. Just gone. Nothing left. Even the atrium's cleared out. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Wow. Alrighty. So, next thing to do would be to clear out the Magic Eye Theater and the Imageworks. So let's start with the Imageworks because it's in the same portion of the building. Clear those out. We're going to leave the pyramid mostly intact. We might make some changes to the pyramid, but overall it's going to remain the same. I'm not going to spend time clearing out the entire floor because that's not really a major issue. I'll just cut out more of the floor and fill in pieces once we get the new staircase installed. But until then, I'm just going to leave it a hole. It's just a hole in the floor. So just leave that the way it is. One thing I will change that I will break right now is this. Why? Because this wasn't an actual entrance into this wasn't a real entrance into Imageworks. It was actually over here. This was just walled off. I didn't realize that. So that is totally inaccurate. But we will fix that. And there's Imageworks. Nope. Gone. Just completely gone. And there's the escalator down, which has now been deleted. Okay. I'm running a little short on time here, so I'm going to have to close out this episode right here. But, look at all this progress we've made. This is absolutely incredible. I mean, we've gone from a total working ride to ruins, just small ruins. Absolutely amazing. And I mean, a couple more blocks still need to be cleared here, which I will get removed in time for next episode. but which will be outlining the new attraction. Very fun. Can't wait for that. Um, but yeah, for now, I'm just going to close out this episode right here. So, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this inaugural episode of Rebuilding the Past. Um, we will continue working on Journey into Imagination as part of Season 1 for in the next coming weeks. Um, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to follow up on this project, please hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell, and you will be notified when I post the next episode. And also, if you are interested in this map, what it looks like, or you're curious as to what I have built in this world, I will be linking the Disney's Epcot Center map in the description below. You can go click on that. Remember, this is for Bedrock editions only, so that's Pocket, Xbox, Windows 10 edition. Sadly, not Java edition. Sorry about that. Um, I will one day get this map converted once I finish building World Showcase, which is still a long ways off. So until then, map's just going to stay in Bedrock Edition. So if you've got Bedrock Edition, go ahead, download the map. It's really cool. All working rides are in it. Just released version 13 a couple days ago, featuring the brand new Spaceship Earth and brand new Future World Hub. So go check those out. Also, please feel free to check out my other videos on this channel. I've got some tribute videos and some more content coming in the coming days. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.